Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The quickest way to get an ROI on timeshares. A lot of people spend a lot of money and they wonder, well, this is great vacations, but when do I ever pay back the amount of money I put into it? And I attempt to give an example of an ROI. And so I want to go through that. So first I'll start is ways to get the best value for your points. I'll go through that. And how to compare rentals to owner costs, the maintenance fees. I'll walk you through that, a simple overview of that. And then I'll walk through the cost to purchase a set of points. And I'm going to stick to a one bedroom here just so everything's consistent. And then comparisons of special, off-peak season, and peak season. And then finally the payback summary, just a sort of a summary, just a high-level summary on how to do that. Before I do that, though, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my channel. Stick with me. I'll be back and go into the details. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the way to get best values for points. Some general things are booking lower point totals gives a greater return. Really, that allows you to stretch how many weeks you get. What I'm finding is the off-peak seasons and the peak seasons, the rental prices for the timeshare seems to be less variable than the points that the timeshare. So you get a better ROI booking off peak season as well. Where you stay affects your ROI. For example, I'm using Oahu and Las Vegas, the Alara. They're both high traffic places, so you get a lot of discounts, but they're also that makes them there's quite a bit of availability. So I wanted to use places that were easy to get to. And again, here's the general rule is Hawaii has more expensive rentals, so there's no low cost, super cheap deals. So its price to rent is a little higher. In Las Vegas, you can always get a super deal somewhere at a hotel, offering a special for gambling or so forth. So I found that the payback is relatively the same. At Hawaii, the payback is quicker, and I'll show you that in the details. And by the way, this is true if you bought it resale or if you bought it from the developer or retail price. It just affects the number of years based on where you bought it. Special rates are offered below current season rates. That happens even in the timeshare industry as an owner. I'm actually currently right now on one of those. I'm staying at a special in Oahu, of all places. So I will use that information in this presentation. These are deals that offer less points, and they are offered typically for a limited time during special periods. Off-peak travel, which I do a lot, allows you to travel sort of it's usually not during the summer, but in case of Vegas, it is actually during the summer when it's so hot. And again, it's less crowded often then, so I actually prefer to travel then. So that's the way. That's the way to get best values. On to the next topic. And now I'm going to go through a summary just how to compare rentals to owner costs. For the videos, I'm using all Hilton Grand Vacation examples. Just want to keep everything the same. I'm sure things are similar for Marriott and Club Wyndham. That's been my experience across the board. All bookings are based on a week, a stay, so that just to keep again as the example, and just to keep everything the same. I use TripAdvisor, which is just a website to get the rental rates, and I include the taxes in it because there's a whole bunch of fees that go into it that are included with the timeshare. It's kind of hopefully I covered everything. Tried to make it as fair as I could across the board. It won't affect things too much. It'll affect a little bit the return, but it's just to give you a general idea to help you make decisions. Nightly costs using maintenance fees. I determine the cost per point by dividing the total maintenance, the total points by the total maintenance. That gives you your maintenance cost per point, and then multiply the number of points by the cost per point to determine my weekly cost. And my cost is 13.7 cents per point. And that's what I'll use in this video, because that's the one that is mine. Yours might be different depending on where you own. The cost to purchase a one-bedroom timeshare can vary quite a bit. It depends on negotiating, depends on a lot of things. What I use is the standard one-bedroom for the Hilton Grand Vacations, which is an odd number, 7680. But that's the number of points. It's typically one bedroom during peak season, so that gives you all the options for a year. And if you own less than that, I think a lot of people get frustrated because they can't seem to use it. And that usually, if you own less than that, you're restricted in so many ways. You find out you can't really book it. And when I get negative comments, and if I'm on my channel, that's typically what I find, just for information. So that's kind of the one bedroom, kind of a best place to start it once you buy timeshares. Buying less, you're compromising it. Even though they have less, the minimums they can sell you are less, you end up finding that you end up not being happy. And again, the maintenance based on I have a blended rate, I own in multiple locations, is about 1,052 for the one bedroom, and that's reasonably close, I think, to what Las Vegas is. I give the net cost of $25,000 to buy, and that's based on approximately $5,000. It's a round number, first of all, so it's easy. My experience is you get somewhere around $5,000 in incentives. That's usually bonus points, incentives. Hopefully you've done a marketing tour to get there, so you've experienced it before you bought. You've done some due diligence, but usually $5,000. And again, I use round numbers, and that you should be getting that. And then the way I come up with the $5,000, if they gave you 2 weeks worth of bonus weeks, that's equal to $2,500 a week roughly. So that's how I come up with that $5,000. Net cost is $30K minus the 5Ks, or $25K. So that's the number I'm going to be using. So now I'm just going through I have this eye chart here. It's a little bit, but I wanted to, it's showing the incentives, and I have the points and then the cost for the week. So you can see in Oahu, the special that I'm on now is 2940 points, and that's only $420. And the weekly rental is quite a bit more. It's over 3,800. So the weekly savings, as you can see, if I'm looking at it, is 3425. I'm not going through every one of these examples. That then, if you do savings per year, that means I have my full 7680. So what's the percentage of points I use? I just multiply that ratio out. And so if you stayed at the savings, you'd get 8,973, and to pay off that $25,000, that's 2.8 years. Now, obviously, every year you can't just go when the specials are, and they don't always have specials all the time, so you can't count on it. But just that as an example, it's really just a general rule. Now, if you stay off peak, and you can follow the same numbers, years takes about 7.5 years in Oahu, and if you just stay in the high peak season, hey, if you got kids, that's what we're going to do. That's been my general rule, is about 9 years is what I figured my payback. I kind of view, I've always tracked it, and I've seen around 9 years when I used it peak. Interesting, if you go to Vegas, you have takes longer to get a return on investment, and that's fundamentally because it seems to be always cheap deals in Las Vegas, because they're incenting you to go gambling, so you get these specials, and so it seems like the rates are a little bit lower, but the timeshare points are the same. So it's the same number of points to stay at a one bedroom in Las Vegas from a timeshare perspective as it is to stay in Oahu, but it affects the ROI. But if you're a Vegas person, it just takes longer to get your return. And if you see even the off-peak, it's go through the Las Vegas special. There's one 4,040 points, or $553 for the maintenance equivalent. When I looked at the rental, it was 1,718 on TripAdvisor. So the weekly savings was 1,163. Multiplying that same ratio out, it was 2,211. and that turns into 11.3. Turns out in Las Vegas, an off-peak deal is a better deal to do it than even the special. Because it's sometimes during the off-peak in summer, more families travel, so it actually turns out that rentals are a little higher than during the special period. So the benefit actually it's only 9.3, and then in the peak period it's back to 11. So Vegas takes a lot longer if that's your place you want to go. And Hawaii, if you stay there a lot, your return is typically going to be less versus having rented the same timeshare off TripAdvisor, and TripAdvisor goes to multiple sites. Well, in summary, buy in Las Vegas, but use in Hawaii. You get the maintenance fees are lowest, and this is Hilton Grand Vacations buying a deed. And greater savings comparing a room rental versus timeshare points. If you use points in Las Vegas, prices are discounted and payback is longer. And timeshare rental prices vary, so calculations are not always the same. So I did this at this moment in time. If you do it a week later or do the same analysis I did, you might get slightly different results, but the general trend is true. If you spend more time in Hawaii and you own the timeshare points that you bought in Vegas for Vegas, then your return on investment is a little bit better. Again, I hope this video was helpful for those of you who are always wondering, like, okay, I just spent all this money. How long does it take to where I'm actually getting benefit? I've got my money back. And I wanted to try to give people a sense of that. Please don't forget to like the video, and please subscribe.